It's gotten so horribly wrong. General Kid's out, and all of his men are dead. As far as I can tell, I'm the last one alive.
I was a mild-mannered chemist. I formulated your toothpaste. Then they came, and everything changed for all of us. First, we sent out our bravest, most confident, most handsome diplomat to meet with them. It didn't go well. They call Earth Region 72. They want to capture us, enslave us, and take our planet. But if we have anything to say about it, our region will remain free.
Elizabeth.
They released Monster O.
They're here already. You're next. You're next. You're next.
Hello and welcome to episode 30 of Region Free. Hope everybody out there is having a good Thursday night. Let me do some shout outs here. Nico, thank you, sir, for the $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Wish I could be here live, but we'll burn the midnight oil with Region Free crew. All right. Thank you, Nico. Let's see who else is with us here. We've got Joe Bob Tarheel, Captain Halloween, Ben Grimm, who snowed in. We got Jess Graham, Dr. CZ Death, that is Chris, Mr. Sam. What's up, Punisher Batman fan? Manny Gatillo. We got Dave from Jersey. How's it going, Dave? JS. RJ Skarinki. Yeah. Got Devin Ev. Hope you all are doing well. I'm looking dapper tonight because tonight's a special show. We've got two returning members of the show that we've not seen a whole lot lately. So I decided to dress up. I decided to, I'm going to be on my best behavior tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and just start bringing folks in. Let's get the ball rolling here. Joining me tonight, an OG, a true legacy character. He was on episode 1 of The Sausage Factory back in I think we did that one in 73. It's been a while. But he is back. The voice of The Sausage Factory. Now the voice of Region Free, the Professor, B-Movie Mike. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Not bad. Could be better, like everybody else, but not bad.
Good. How's Florida? I heard you guys got some uncharacteristically cold weather down there.
Well,
recently.
winter happened last weekend. It was good to see it come and go. Saturday night got down to 27. which for the Tampa Bay area is quite chilly. But it was 84 today, so it's all good.
You bounce back. Was there like a panic when it got that low?
People are wrapping up their pipes and their plants, and iguanas are falling out of the sky. It's quite an event. It rains iguanas when it gets really, really cold. So
I've heard about that. I've heard about that phenomenon. When it gets cold down there, you have raining iguanas. Yeah.
Yeah, they're still alive. I mean, after it warms up, they get up and walk away, but it's just kind of funny, It's one of those things, only in Florida.
Wow. But it's good to see you, Mike. Hope you've been well, and it's good to have you back.
Good to be back.
All right. Also, we've got another familiar face here who's been absent without leave for for the last few episodes at least. All the way from New York, Stone Gassman. How's it going, Stone?
Good evening, everyone. This is Stone Gassman live from New York. Glad to be here. Yeah, it's been ever since early November when I talked about Dune and last night in Soho when I went to the Alamo Draft House to see both of those movies. But I haven't been back to the theater since then. We just had some snow here over the weekend, maybe quite a few inches actually, but most of it's now melted and it's now up to 40 degrees. And at rate, I mean, things are going well, all things considered, and I'm just looking forward to the show tonight. It's going to be awesome.
Good. Well, it's good to have you back. Glad that the weather's improving up there. So good to see you, Stone.
Good to see you.
Also joining me tonight. I'm just gonna. You know what? I'm gonna bring this guy on, and then I'm gonna. Lauren, I got some feedback about you from the viewer base recently. The number of 4-letter expletives that person used. No, I'm joking. I got some very positive feedback. About they didn't want to call you the bald gentleman. They said the gentleman who shaves their head. And very positive feedback. They enjoy your unfiltered, opinionated points of view, even if they are the unpopular opinion. And I said, with this kind of show, you've got to have somebody who's not afraid to go against the grain. And Lauren is that for us. And so some positive feedback for Lauren. You're muted, my friend.
You know how when you go to a restaurant, there's that little survey that you get the next day in your email, inevitably.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, the managers of every restaurant and every retail establishment on the planet have tried to figure out ways they can send in their own positive comments. I think there's a good chance that not me, but someone on the staff may be responsible for those positive comments, because I thought the first half of what you said was a lot more likely, because we all know that single syllable words, i.e. 4-letter words, are more likely, right?
But no, it was it was somebody whose opinion I'm sure you would value. I won't call them out here live, okay. But they had very nice things to say about you. And hey, here's the thing. In my line of work, my day job, you're very rarely given kudos for anything. When you mess up, you hear it from everybody. But when you do good, nobody cares. Just keep doing good and be a good boy. But I like it when you do good, you should be told, good job. Nicely done.
I appreciate that. And I never actually, check the work email at Region Free's offices. So I would never receive if you didn't do it on the air. Mm-hmm. But listen, unboxings are popular on your channel and I really don't do them. But so what I want to do is an unsplinting today.
Ooh.
So
is this going to be gory?
No, it's just it won't be pleasant, but it's not gonna be gory. So this is the
Hold on.
progress, guys. There we are.
Oh,
So
so how did you break that? Or
I don't know how I broke it. I was making a Halloween decoration, which you can see on my channel, and when I got up, it was at a 90, which is way worse than it is now. So they really want to try to avoid the surgery, which they keep promising, which I actually want them to do because I just want to be through it. So they're going to start me on physical therapy on the finger.
wow.
So, yeah. So that's where I am. But thank you for whoever sent in the nice comments. If you want to send a few dollars to Piz's Patreon, I'm sure he wouldn't mind giving a percentage over to a good charity like he does with all the money that comes in.
Exactly. People for the Ethical Treatment of Pizzelle. It's a great organization. PELP. But yeah, a buddy of mine messed up his finger playing basketball. He got the ball hit just thinking about it. But his finger was so messed up, they had to literally do surgery on his finger to like go in and straighten the bone. He never had full, he did physical therapy in the whole 9 yards. He never had full, his finger was jacked for the rest of his life.
Well, this is a tendon that snapped.
Ugh.
So it will never be back like it was before, but we're actually pretty happy with the progress so far. I just would rather them go in and do the work,
Get it over with.
I don't care if it's going to hurt. It hasn't hurt. It's hurt really so far, except when they've prodded it at the doctors. But anyway, I'm sure everyone out there really cares.
Well, let me bring on. Well, good to see you, Lauren. Let me bring on the last member of tonight's crew from the Flesh Wound Horror YouTube channel, the Flesh Wound Features YouTube channel. I'm sorry. The world's biggest fan of the new film, The Requiem. Dan, how's it going?
What's up? Gotta love The Requiem.
Oh man, such a moving, powerful film.
Alicia's gonna take home the Oscar for sure.
I mean, Jaws was my favorite shark movie. The Requiem makes Jaws look like total trash.
It does. Jaws did not have the girl from Clueless calling a shark an MFer.
That's true. That's true.
I'm already going to call it. That's going to be the worst movie of 2022. I can't see anything. I can't see anything unseating this one.
Yeah, for something to be worse, I mean, we're talking about.
I don't know, when Hollywood's involved, there's always a chance.
We're talking about real bad. Lord have mercy.
You were talking legacy characters, and I was thinking, who would be cast in the Hollywood version of Region Free? I want the chat to weigh in on this. Who do you want playing it?
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Oh, we've got Retro Cac, Gibbs in the chat. Gibbs, how are you doing? He's happy because it's raining men.
No, I think he's protesting that it's an all-male cast today, that we don't have proper representation of the staff members today.
I understand. Hey, there's Cola's Gay in the chat. Cola's Gay, how you doing? Hope you're doing well, my friend. Well, let's go ahead and dive into some topics tonight here. I actually had some topics pulled up on my computer, and then I had to restart the computer, and now they're gone. I do want to mention the passing of Paul Kelman, TJ from My Bloody Valentine. If you're an OG fan and you've been around since the Sausage Factory, you probably know that we did a live commentary for My Bloody Valentine with Paul Kelman back in 2015 or 16. And it is, whenever I'm asked, like, what's your favorite Sausage Factory episode, or what was your favorite moment of the Sausage Factory, that commentary with Paul Kelman always comes to mind, like very first. Because he had told me before, when we were trying to set everything up, he'd not seen the movie in years. He probably wouldn't have a very good memory of it, and he might not have very much to say. And there were a lot of issues. He lived in the middle of nowhere in Canada, so he was like, let's just try it. So we were just flying by the seat of our pants that night. He connected. It worked out. And I watched him more than I watched the movie because he just, for him, it was like a walk down memory lane. He remembered so much about filming the movie and so much about the cast. And, the one guy who gets the nail gun to the head was like one of his best friends back in the day. And he was talking about him, and he'd passed away also. And it was just really cool. It was a really cool kind of experience to watch him watch the movie for the first time in a long time and recount all of these memories about it. And the next day he wrote me a really nice message thanking me for the walk down memory lane. And it was really cool. So I didn't really stay in touch with Paul that much over the years. Just occasionally would message him, but he was a good guy. He was a nice guy. He liked his fans, and he'll be missed. So R.I.P. Paul Kelman. If you're, I'm sure most people here, part of your Valentine's Day celebration or whatever you do on Valentine's Day, part of it is probably spent watching My Bloody Valentine. So watch My Bloody Valentine this year. Crack open a moose head for Paul or whatever your local beer is. And so. Mike, I know you were there for that stream with Mr. Kelman back in the day. Any fond memories of that stream?
Oh yeah, that was great. That was you never know what's going to happen when you have somebody come on like that, and yeah, he just settled right in and told some great stories, and that was a fun time. I consider My Bloody Valentine to be, an upper echelon slasher from the classic era. I don't think it gets enough love, literally. Didn't need a sequel. I know a lot of people thought that maybe a sequel would have been in order, but I thought it was good for what it was. And I like the fact that it wasn't teenagers. It was, late 20s, early 30s people with a job and real life type things. And yeah, it was great for what it was. And it was awesome watching it with him. It's definitely top 10 moments on the show. I mean, we had a lot of great guests, watched a lot of great movies, but that was definitely a very good time. And I got to know him a little bit after that, and he was an interesting dude, to say the least. It was interesting. Got to know him, and it was interesting, and he will be missed. We've lost a lot of people here recently. Bob Saget, Louis Anderson, Meatloaf, Paul Kelman. It's like everybody's leaving. Yeah, it's like everybody I grew up with and watched growing up is like gone. It's like, man, getting lonely.
Yeah. He was very outspoken politically, and I mean that can turn a lot of people off. But that was a really special moment, I think, for all of us who were there on the show with him that night, and hopefully for everybody who was watching too. And if you missed out on that live commentary from many years ago, it's archived. It's in our back catalog, our massive back catalog. So
I know two of our OG guys were really, really happy to meet him, Cole and Raiho, because they're from that neck of the woods. And I know Raiho was really, really too bad he's not on the show to share his thoughts on the subject. 'Cause I know Paul's passing was definitely pretty hard on him. They were huge fans, and so it was cool to get to share that with everybody. It was just really a good time.
Yeah, Raiho was definitely starstruck that night. So, yeah. But R.I.P. Paul Kelman. Watch My Bloody Valentine this Valentine's Day in honor of him. Something else that was basically just announced today. I know Lauren was so happy with this news. Scream 6 is a go. It is officially in development with the Radio Silence folks back writing and directing. And So that has that's got a lot of people excited. I just hope they take their time and they don't try to rush anything out. And you know, Scream 6, here we go, I guess. So, Mike, did you happen to see the new Scream movie?
No, I passed. I own the first 4, but I never watch them. It's like every single one of them falls apart in the third act for me. It's like there's this weakness amongst all the films that the last third of the film I just do not enjoy. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. And from what I've heard about this one, definitely not. So I don't know, it's just not me. But apparently a lot of people are personally invested in how much money this movie made, even though they don't get a nickel from it, which I don't understand. But hey, good for you. If it makes you happy, that's awesome. And if the announcement of Scream 6, if that gives you a tickle in your britches like the sliding down the rope in gym class, well then you know what? Good for you, man. But don't hate on me if I skip. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't reflect on how I may think of other people. It's just that I'm not really interested in spending my money on that particular thing.
Okay. Oh, I got a tickle in my britches there.
Gotta watch out, rope burn, man.
I know, gosh.
You go from smiling to crying real quick.
Feels more like a 50 Shades thing. I don't know if it would tickle so much.
Oh, jeez. But yeah, Scream 6 is a go. 6 Cream is a go, as the Daily Ghost says. Anybody thoughts on hopes for Scream 6? Do we even want to touch on it? Go there?
I don't have much to say except they better do something really big, because I mean, there's not going to be any time in between the movies. And again, I didn't hate Scream 5. I mean, I thought it was a good overall, lots of things you can pick at, but a good Scream movie if you're into those movies. They got to completely reinvent the wheel though now. I mean, I don't know. It big move, I guess. I don't know that they can get away with resurrecting Matthew Lillard, which is what everybody seems to want. Or,
yeah.
Go supernatural. Hey, just go crazy with it at this point. I don't know what else you would do.
I think they do. They're too set with these rules. I think they need to take the rules and throw the rules out the window.
Yeah.
I agree. As much as I liked Scream 5, if you're going to go forward, don't do the same thing again.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to that third act. It's like Mike says, that's usually or who said that the third act always falls apart for him?
That was me.
Okay, I thought that was you, Mike. I'm sorry. The third act kind of they all kind of fall apart in the third act for me too. The first one not so much, but the other ones kind of do too. So I mean, I think a radical departure, if Spyglass and Paramount will even let them get radical with it, which I mean, I can see them maybe not wanting to go radical.
They got to get rid of the legacy characters. I don't think they're just done now. I don't want to see Courtney Cox.
I don't either.
Nev Campbell. Just go with the new characters.
Yeah, or just go with entirely different characters, or maybe. Well, I don't know. I think they just can't do more of the same. Especially if they're going to put this thing out in the next couple of years, which they are.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, I think a little break in between would have helped them, but
definitely, yes, definitely. Stone, did you happen to see Scream 5?
I did. I think I mentioned at the beginning of the show that I haven't been back to the theater. I did go see Scream 5, and I enjoyed it for the most part. I enjoyed all the references. I enjoyed the performances by the legacy characters. And I certainly liked it a lot more than Halloween Kills. I didn't think it was as mediocre as Halloween Kills. I was very grateful about that. It wasn't as simple as just having the killer just look out the window, reminiscing about his past glory kills and everything. But I actually really enjoyed Scream 5. I mean, I didn't think it was perfect. The radio silence guys, I mean, they they kind of exceeded my expectations a bit. But I don't know if I'm going to buy it. I would have to give it another viewing before I would commit to actually making a purchase. But I did enjoy it, and I completely agree with all of you that, hey, I mean, we need to reinvent the wheel somehow when it comes to the Scream franchise. They need to they need to do some radical differences or changes in the next film for me to be sustained throughout this whole thing. But I will say that I also will say real quick, I did rewatch Screams 1 through 3. 3 is not nearly as bad as I remembered. There are some interesting things going on in Scream 3, particularly what's happened to the distribution studios and all that since then with the Weinstein scandals and everything. Watching Scream 3 today is very, very interesting. But I will return to this franchise. I will watch Scream 5 again. And at that point, I think I'll have a more detailed opinion on it then. But I did like it. I did like it.
Cool.
Yeah.
We've got a question here from Punk Ron. Do you have any recommendations for Valentine's Day outside of My Bloody Valentine and Valentine? I know that isn't the movie X-Ray set during Valentine's Day?
I believe so.
Okay. But I can't think of any other Valentine themed movies, horror movies at least.
I will say for a recommendation, even though, and in fact, I believe the episode was called My Bloody Valentine. Supernatural had a really cool, like, you don't need to sit through all 15 seasons. You could just watch it. It was, much like X-Files had those great horror one-off episodes. It was a lot of fun if you can track it down. It is called My Bloody Valentine, yes, from 2010.
Okay, cool. I'm kind of surprised that we don't have, like Full Moon. Full Moon did like the Thanksgiving and those weird, horror movies for holidays. Why haven't they touched on Valentine's Day?
There is the Cupid statue episode of Friday the 13th, the series as well.
Yeah.
I seem to remember that. Yeah.
That was good. Yeah.
It's one of the first 5 episodes because they use a clip from it in the opening credits. So
I love Friday the 13th. The series.
First 2 seasons are so incredible.
Yeah, I keep saying I'm going to sit down and watch those, but I just haven't found the time.
Well, I mean, they're a product of their time, so you have to be fair with them. But no one expected them to be good at all. So, I mean, the fact that they're pretty great at times is amazing. The vampire episode is... Excuse me, Sam?
I'm sorry, I just want to say it'd be nice to have a Blu-ray of them.
Can't be done.
Yeah, I don't think that would... Yeah, I don't know if that would look... They would... I don't... Yeah.
No.
But there is that DVD set, and you can get it pretty cheap if you don't own them already. So I think there used to be quite a few of them on YouTube, which those may have been pulled. I don't know, but there used to be quite a few on YouTube.
It's must watch if you guys haven't checked it out. I think like $20-$25 you can get the whole series. Another, it's not a recommendation, but if you just want a Valentine's Day horror film, there is a slasher called Cupid as well. Really bad, but you just want Valentine's material.
Dave mentions Lover's Lane.
Oh yeah.
And I remember liking Lover's Lane.
Anna Faris's debut.
Anna Faris, that's correct, yeah. And that's probably a DVD you can find relatively cheap, I would imagine. But yeah, so there you go. There's a few recommendations, Ron.
And Dracula, Sovereign of the Damned, simply because you just should watch it on every holiday.
Yeah, anytime's the right time for that one.
Right. It is a love story, so you're good.
We also had Netflix's Texas Chainsaw Massacre drop their full trailer recently. A lot of people have talked about it. Dan, I know you guys did a live trailer reaction during the it was the last episode of Flesh Wound Features. I talked about it on a stream. What'd you guys take away from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Here's what I took away from it. You're gonna get watch out, you're gonna get canceled. So which I love that part of the trailer, by the way. If the rest of the movie is in that kind of, you know, I may enjoy it. I don't know. We'll see. But what'd you guys think of the trailer? What'd you think of it, Dan?
It actually confused me because I had heard some people complaining about the bus scene that it was woke, and I was like, well, wait, that wasn't exactly what I was thinking it would be. I mean, it's far and away from what the original film was at this point. We got far away from it with the second one anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of like wait and see. I think it should at least be better than 2 movies in the franchise, if not 3, and I will be probably content with it, to be honest. It's a body count, but it's not exactly what I would do with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but you know, the 4th film happened, and after that, like, let's just wait and see.
Yeah. Lauren, I know you saw the trailer. I know you've got some strong feelings about it.
I don't care about the bus scene, and I think the bus scene is a distraction. I think they put it in the trailer because they knew that the rest of the trailer, if you really take a look at it, is pretty painful. It's so frigging obvious that they are just doing Halloween 2018 in the mold of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. But they don't even have the original star to pull back for like the proper nostalgic kick. And frankly, Sally was never as iconic as Laurie Strode anyway. I mean, for Texas Chainsaw fans, we love her. Yeah, sure. But you know what? The first Texas Chainsaw Massacre film is simply one of the least nostalgic films ever. It has no kind of cloying emotional behavior in that film. It's more like watching National Geographic. You're watching the lion take down the gazelles. It's heartless and cruel and mean. Even how the kids talk, well, the college kids talk to each other, has a certain sardonic meanness to it. So to try and pull this like, oh, Sally's going to get her revenge, it requires kind of emotions that are just kind of alien to the franchise. I get why they did it. They're chasing money. And this series has chased money for a long time. Sometimes it works for me. I'm a big defender of Texas Chainsaw 3D. I know not a lot of people, I'd say less than half of the fan base likes that film. I mean, that's an informal study. But I just, I'm a broken record about long-standing franchises, but unless you have genuine reason to make another one of these things, some lightning in a bottle concept that just jumps off the page and says, this needs to be made, then just make a different movie. I feel like, at the last Sex Pistols concert, Johnny Lydon looked out at the audience and said, do you ever feel like you've been cheated? Because they played 3 songs and left the stage. I'm feeling like we're allowing ourselves to be cheated by this. Like, just throw the Halloween name on something, throw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But these are shallow, cynical attempts to just separate us from money with nothing else. That's what I get from that trailer. I don't even get the kind of ridiculous fun that I got from installments of this series that I don't particularly like out of this. It just kind of seems like a cynical, they read the room, this is what's going to make us money, let's see what happens. But the Texas screenings went horrifically bad. There was no attempt to get this thing a theatrical release. I think everyone needs to temper their expectations, and maybe we'll come out being satisfied with really low expectations. But God, I'm just tired of this shit. Like, can we just not continue to drag classic films through the mud for a generation that doesn't even care 6 months down the line because they care more about an Instagram filter that's coming out than a classic horror movie? Why are we chasing those people? Let them have their own movies and their own legacies.
But what will save the whole Sally's back for revenge thing for me is when she loads up all of her weapons in the back of the truck. She gets in the truck, and inside on the dashboard is a photo of Franklin. And she picks up the photo, and a single tear rolls down her cheek, and she goes, "This is for you, brother." That'll save it for me.
100% happening.
I sure as hell hope so. I sure as hell hope so. And I want Franklin flashbacks too. I want Franklin flashbacks.
I don't think they have the rights to that.
Oh man, I want Franklin
It's
flashbacks.
changed hands since the owners of the last two. So and they had it. So I don't think they do now.
Like, could you imagine if Sally got the chainsaw and she's turning it on Leatherface, and then there's like cuts of Franklin, Sally, now Sally, and she's just, oh God, that would be amazing. That'd be incredible.
We have to get a Franklin cameo as a ghost.
Oh, she sees him in the rear view.
There you go.
Oh,
Shoot me in the head right now.
Whoa, Dan, that is brilliant, Dan. Oh,
I just put that out into the universe, and that's horrible.
As horrible as that sounds, it's probably going to be better than what we get.
Mike, what you don't realize is that was a Scream 5 reference.
Yeah, well, see, I'm glad I didn't see it.
Netflix is pulling it and doing reshoots now. I'm sorry.
Dan, that
I don't
sounds
have
like
Netflix, so I'm not going to watch it. But when I saw the trailer, I think same as Lauren, I was just like, "Oh, it's Texas Chainsaw 2018." Wonderful. We had this conversation when Halloween came out in 2018, and we wondered aloud whether or not this was going to bring about a rebirth of horror in the modern times. It has, but not in a good way for me. I didn't enjoy the new Halloween movies. I don't care about the new Candyman or the Scream. And Texas Chainsaw looks like it's going to be just a carbon copy of the new Halloween formula with the Texas Chainsaw, Leatherface's skin on it. It's like, man, But hey, I realize that for some reason, people not only seem to like it, but they pick the hill to die on every single time there's a new movie that comes out. It's like they batten down the hatches and get ready for a fight, because if you don't like it, then you don't like them or the world, and you're a bad person. It's happened with like every new release. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and I really don't care. I can't be bothered to be that personally invested in something that I don't care about. If people like it though, it's like, cool. I'm glad you're happy. I hope it's what you want it to be, because it sure as hell doesn't look like anything I would want to watch. I just don't care. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of bad Texas Chainsaw. There's a lot of bad Halloween. That doesn't excuse making another bad one. Not to me, it doesn't. I mean, you should try to do better. And if you're going to use an iconic franchise and a character like Leatherface, they're doing the Halloween 2018 route just seems lazy. And it has like, let's go to the ATM and get some money out. Mm-hmm. And the really bad part is like when people say you have to support horror. Well, if these are the horror movies that you support, these are the horror movies that you're going to continue to get. So I guess you get what you deserve if that's what you think. I'm out though. I mean, I can't. But hey, people like it. That's great. I mean, I like the first one, of course. It's classic. Second one has its own charm to it. I mean, I love the fact that they brought back the original Cook and Toby Hooper's involved, and it's more of a comedy, black comedy. But like he said, I made the first one. There's no way I could make a sequel to it that would be better than that. So he felt like that was the only way he could go. And I enjoy it for what it is. And there's a couple others that are okay. Most of them I just don't care about. 1 and 2, and I'm out with Texas Chainsaw. It's kind of with me, but it's ridiculous. At least in Halloween, we did have the original actress playing Laurie Strode back as Laurie Strode. And even though it was only a cameo, we did have Nick Castle back as Michael Myers. So technically, both originals were in the film, and same with Kills. Although they cut Nick Castle's cameo from Kills, but
yeah.
Why have anything good in that movie, right? So just get rid of all of it. But now we got two two iconic characters that both of the actors that originated these roles are no longer with us, but we're supposed to be invested anyway. And I don't know. It's it's not their fault that they passed away, obviously, but I don't know. It just didn't do anything for me, really. I mean, the bus scene, they could be making fun of wokeness, like, oh, Leatherface is going to get canceled now. It could be kind of a joke about, but that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was everything else. So.
Well, let's talk really quickly about a movie that I know everybody on this panel loves, and probably everybody watching too. Just no question about it. That's Candyman 3: Day of the Dead. I got the new Blu-ray recently, so looking forward to revisiting this one.
Why would you support that? No, I'm actually really serious. Like, because you can't honestly like that film. I don't buy that for a second. So why would you buy that?
It's Candyman 3: Day of the Dead.
I heard that part. Now, why would you support that movie in any?
It's got a slipcase.
Well, wait, okay, stop. If there's ever been a time where it would be justifiable for you morally to tear that slipcase, it is now.
Never. That would never happen.
Justifiable slipcase aside.
Never
There
happen.
you go.
This is the Vestron Collector Series. This is number 24 of the Vestron Collector Series. Okay. Look how beautiful that artwork is, too.
It's way better than the film, but that is a sickness. I think we have to stage an intervention right now. Because I'm all for physical media, but supporting bad physical media?
Well, let me show you. All right, you want to talk about bad? Look at this crap. Look at this slipcase.
Do it. I still support it when I like the movies.
All right, we've gone off on it.
Wait, Piz, tell me they didn't come in the same box and weren't touching.
No.
Okay.
I do. I'm going to start rubbing them together though here momentarily.
I'll say two nice things about Candyman 3. It's no longer the worst Candyman, and Donna D'Errico is at least better than Alicia Silverstone in The Requiem. So, two nice things.
Okay, there you go. We went off on a tangent there. Let's talk about production starting on a movie that I know we're all going to love, and that's Renfield, starring Nick Cage as Dracula. That movie is now officially in production. And didn't Nick Cage say that he was going to base his Dracula on who was it?
Did he say Max Schreck? I can't remember that quote, so I'm not sure.
I don't remember who he said it was. It was right on the tip of my tongue, and then I forgot about it, or I can't think of it. But I know he said he was going to base his character on some. Yeah, I mean, it's Nick Cage, of course. So it's not going to be your typical Dracula, which is why I'm kind of I'm excited for it for sure. So
It doesn't surprise me because there was a story that during, I think it was the second Ghost Rider film, that they shot some of it over in that area, and he actually took a day off from production to spend the night in Dracula's castle because they were in the area. So it doesn't surprise me that he's going to be in it as Dracula. I mean, he has spent the night at the actual castle because he wanted to get the vibes. So
okay. So here's what he said. He wants his Dracula to move like Sadako in Ringu.
Is he gonna come out of a TV or
I don't know, but I guess he wants that kind of, where he's, I don't know.
You had me at Nick Cage's Dracula. So.
he also claims he's going to draw inspiration from Malignant for his role. So Malignant and Ringu for his Dracula. I love it. Oh
man, the only thing that brought it down a little bit is that they cast Aquafina. That I'm like, okay, this is going to be full on parody now.
Who is Aquafina?
You don't.
Shang-Chi, and I can't remember the name of her TV show. Comedian. Yeah, definitely. I can't imagine playing She plays an angry traffic cop called Rebecca.
That just killed
this
it
is
for
all-
me.
Okay.
Yeah. Also from the writer of Rick and Morty, which I know is popular, but I'm like, I'm not. I don't know. I think this is just going to be full blown comedy now. I don't think we're getting a serious Dracula film at all.
With Nick Cage's Dracula, it's going to be a comedy no matter what. So it's like no matter how hard they try, they might have just said screw it, let's embrace it. We're going full weird.
I just want a Step Brothers style sequel where you take Willem Dafoe from Shadow of the Vampire and put him in there with Nick Cage. No script. Tell them both you can do whatever the hell you want. You're both vampires. Go for it and just film it.
Chef's kiss on that one. Wow.
And is this the second time Nicolas Cage has played a vampire?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vampire's Kiss. Yeah.
In
You
1989.
said there's going to be
I never
an
saw
actress
that.
in the film that was named after a bottle of water.
That's Aquafina.
Yeah.
I mean, did she pick that name herself, or did her parents hate her that much? I mean,
Yeah.
really?
Exactly.
It's like, what's the name of your kid? Oh, we never thought about that. What?
Yeah.
Aquafina. He's got a bottle of water in his hand.
Yeah,
You know,
he's
really?
like, oh, Aquafina.
It gets weird out there sometimes.
I know of a family that named their kid Fanta, so it's a thing.
I love some Fanta, but I mean, gosh,
Stay away from Fago. He's crazy.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm ready for Renfield. Whenever that drops, I'm going to be first in line.
That could be the one bright spot of 2022 if it actually comes out this year. I mean, that could turn it all around, because 2020 was bad. 2021 was worse. 2022 is hurting itself, trying to be worse than 2021 at the moment. So we need Nick Cage's Dracula, damn it. That could turn it all around. That could be what saves the world. I'm ready. I'm on board. Let's do it.
I sure hope so.
Just want him to drop one-liners, like, "Have you had your jab yet?" before he bites into the neck, or just yeah.
I like that. Oh man, so many endless possibilities for Nicolas Cage's Dracula. I love it. Let's talk about this, and this is gonna be did everybody hear about the Peter Dinklage controversy? Is everybody familiar with the Peter Dinklage controversy? Peter Dinklage, of course, is a great actor. Yeah. He's a little person.
An angry little person, apparently.
And he went on, he was on a show talking about the new Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs movie. And he was not happy with the use of the dwarfs. So Disney said, okay, no dwarfs, causing 7 little people to lose their jobs. And I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I'm going to bet that there aren't a whole lot of jobs in Hollywood for little people. So that's 7 people who are now out of work because Peter Dinklage
doesn't like it.
It's
kind of in the title. I mean, and the property's been around maybe longer than he has, but we'll just let that go, right? I mean, he's receiving major backlash because of it, of course. Well, I understand what he's talking about. They did a swap for actual Snow White,
right?
She's no longer Snow White.
I think he
was like, it's still an effed up story about dwarves.
Yeah, he said you're being progressive in this area of the movie, but here you're still
kind of in the title, though. It's
you're saying that dwarves like live in the woods and that they're servants or whatever. They're sleepy, sneezy, dopey, lazy. You know what I mean? I mean, there you go.
But are they literal, like, human dwarves? It's been a long time since I've watched Snow White, as you can imagine. But aren't they more mythical creatures, not literal, like, human dwarves?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while, but yeah, I think so.
Well, if you watch every movie at the bottom, it says, all these characters are fake, and any resemblance of anybody living or dead is purely coincidence. So these movies are never about real people.
Yeah.
They're just characters that drive a narrative.
Yeah.
And it's about Snow White gets found by the dwarves and saved. And it's been a long time since I've seen it too. It's like, yeah, it's okay, but whatever. I guess I kind of see his point, but it also seems like the judge's gavel would come down and say reaching. But
Yeah.
that's just me. But everybody. Well, again, like you said, how many roles are there for people of his stature? Maybe he's just trying to keep his name in the paper.
And
I mean, he's
built
trying
a
to.
career.
After his TV show ended, he's trying to stay relevant. So, Hollywood's kind of rough.
And I think
imagine for him, rougher.
He's a great actor, but he also played roles that I want to say Elf. I know it was a popular Christmas movie. It was pretty stereotypical.
It was.
He didn't have an issue getting his paycheck for that.
No.
And he built up his career. I mean, but he screwed 7 actors out of jobs. I mean, it goes back to I don't know, just like the days of political correctness killed the sideshows in the 60s. What happened to a lot of those performers?
Yeah.
They went into asylums or, that really bad situation. So I don't know. I just think it's one of those cases where I don't know with Snow White again. I don't think they're like human dwarves anyways. I think he was a bit douchey on this one, I gotta say. Maybe he has a point, but I don't know.
I remember watching like an MTV True Life documentary many, many years ago, and one of the subjects of the documentary was a little person who was an actress, and she was talking about how difficult it was to try and be an actor as a little person, and she took a gig on the Ozfest tour as like a little demon running around the stage while Ozzy played or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember her saying like, yeah, it's demeaning, but it's a paycheck and it's a resume builder.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, she didn't feel horrible about it. She was like, yeah, it's demeaning. These drunk guys are yelling things at me at an Ozfest. But, she was like, this is just what you got to do if you want to be in this industry as a little person. And,
well, Ozzy did worse than that, I think, on his Blizzard of Oz tour. In response to being replaced by Ronnie James Dio, every night on stage, he hung a little person that he called Little Ronnie.
Oh, wow.
So, but that was more of a dig at the diminutive stature of Ronnie James Dio than it was actually, trying to make fun of little people in general. I mean, that was more of just a personal dig at somebody else. But still, if you don't know the context of it, it's kind of funny if you know that, but it's still kind of like, dude. I mean, of course, we're talking about a guy that ate pigeons and bats and was so drunk he was wearing a dress and pissed on the Alamo. So it's not exactly like he was in a clear frame of thought back in those days. Not that he ever was. I don't think Ozzy has actually had a clear thought. Maybe
not a long time. Chris mentions in the chat that today is actually Warwick Davis's birthday. So happy birthday, Warwick Davis.
Man, he's had a heck of a career. Willow, he was in Star Wars as Ewok. I mean, every time and that's another thing. You got 7 guys that had a job where you could see their faces because they weren't in some kind of like, they weren't playing a little kid in the shadows, or they weren't like in a suit, like an Ewok or something, where they could actually emote. You could see their eyes and their face, and they could act on camera. I mean, that's a dream job for somebody of that stature. Was there a TV show about 10 years ago? It was a reality show about pit bulls and dwarves or something. It was one guy was a rescue. I forget what it was. I know they've had TV shows like Little People and stuff like that, but there was an episode or a TV show that had to do with pit bull rescues, and I think it was There was a little person involved. And I mean, there is a difference between midget and dwarf. I mean, they're both clinically, the proper terminology. A midget is a regular proportioned person that's under the height of 5 foot, usually about 5'10", and a dwarf is the shorter variant that has the larger hands and different sized body features. So a midget just looks like a regular person, just small, whereas a dwarf actually has different defining measurements. But there's a difference, and so calling them little people to me is like, well, there's more than just one kind. And why are you leaving these? You're not representing them properly by doing that, but you think you're doing them a favor. Those things like that bother me.
I have this issue whenever Hollywood decides that they're telling us that we are all sheep and that we form our opinions about the worth of other human beings based on their representations of us. There's a big issue here, and we're all kind of like dancing around it whenever we have these conversations. Birth of a Nation is a reprehensible film, but it's only a movie. If bad people see something and they believe in that thing on screen without questioning it, then I fear for all the other things besides movies that they're going to be finding in life, including people. We know from cult behavior that people will absolutely cling on to anything that makes them feel like the world makes sense. Hollywood has this outsized sense of impact on our society, and we sometimes play into it by even having these discussions. I would never treat someone of any height differently simply because of their height. I think that's true of most people. It doesn't mean there aren't jokes about the very tall and the very short, or the very effeminate or the very masculine, right? Jokes are part of how we communicate our unease with the fact that we are not all the same. And dramatic structure matters, right? There is something to be said if you always made films in which little people were always portrayed as weak or infantile or childish or villainous. And that's all you would ever do, is those things. I think sight unseen, we don't know what Disney was going to do with it. If they followed the prototype of the 30s film, I don't see a problem. But the big problem I do see is we're letting Hollywood get away with this business of claiming that they are morally superior and they're the arbiters that can just force us to decide how we see the world. I'm sorry. We've had this argument before about violent video games, horror movies, and Dungeons and Dragons. People do a really good job of separating fantasy from reality. And Hollywood uses issues like this to continually tell us that they don't trust us to be adults. I get so pissed off. They're the first ones to say that, certain viewpoints should be censored. But then they attack each other over crap like this, which tells you that they feel that they are above all of it. It's nonsense. I wish Disney would have stuck to their guns, but it's Disney,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Off the soapbox.
And anybody that's ever been out on an audition, we all get typecast. Absolutely. I'm going to get either a villainous type thing or the funny fat guy. Everybody gets typecast in Hollywood too, and it's not always, typecasting isn't always a bad thing. Look at some of the great character actors that had decades of work being typecast. I mean, I don't know. I just think it was wrong of a guy like Dinklage who's made it, and again, he's a brilliant actor, truly brilliant. He might actually be up for best actor this year. I don't know. It strikes me as somebody that's way up here that just completely screwed 7 guys that are just trying to, squirrels trying to get a nut, basically. I think it was a douchey move on his part, but I still like the guy. I will still watch his movies. I'm not somebody that you know, it's gonna boycott an actor just because they say something stupid.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel bad for those actors, you know. I don't know. But I agree with what you were saying about being typecast. I mean, whenever I audition, it's like I can do more than just be the eye candy hunk, you know. They just don't give me the opportunity to spread my wings, and you know, it's like
I don't know. I can only imagine how I would be typecast. I'm over 6 feet. I have a bald head and Germanic features. Can anybody guess? Can anybody guess what role they would offer me? Yes. No, thank you.
oh goodness gracious. Well, Stone, I know you you've got some topics you want to discuss tonight. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, I decided for, like I said, I haven't been on board here since November, and now it's early February. I'm actually shocked that we're already deep into 2022 this much, but I wanted to do my Blu-ray picks of last year for 2021, and I have them here all ready to go. Just to warn everybody real quick, while I have 11 films in this pile, I'm going to be going through them within 60 to 90 seconds each. And the distinction about these 11 Blu-rays is that they're all from different distribution companies. All right. I'm going to start out with Via Vision Entertainment and Imprint, which is an Australian label. They put out a lot of Blu-rays last year, which I managed to pick up. But the one I had to get the most, just because, here again, another example of them doing another studio's job. Anybody who's a fan of Al Pacino's Scarface, hopefully you have seen the 1932 original starring Paul Muni as Tony Camonte, directed by Howard Hawks and produced by the legendary Howard Hughes. An ambitious criminal with a ruthless drive to be the city's top crime boss leads the groundbreaking gangster story of organized crime's brutal control over Chicago during the Prohibition era. This is my favorite gangster movie of all time. It is a landmark of early 1930s cinema, and probably the most controversial at that time, considering what it was saying about our struggles as a violent society. It's it was inspired by Al Capone. And even though there's no blood among the many sequences of violence, they used real bullets when they shot the Tommy guns. So, I mean, I've always preferred the 1932 original to the 83 Al Pacino movie. However, I will say that my attitude on the 83 movie has gone up in many, many years. I just think that Oliver Stone kind of stretched every scene from the 32 movie to twice its length and added a chainsaw massacre. I mean, it has its strengths. I am not a fan of Al Pacino's accent. And the great thing about this version, though, because Universal has ignored it for so long and has put all their favoritism in the 83 movie. I mean, the documentary on the collector's edition Blu-ray, it doesn't even mention the original. But Via Vision went out of their way and they got an audio commentary for this, as well as 2 interviews, as well as 1080p high definition transfer. This is better than any Universal released version of the original Scarface. So that is one of my favorites from last year. I highly encourage you, all of you, to pick it up. I also have from Criterion this year, my pick is the 1947 version of Nightmare Alley, starring Tyrone Power and directed by Edmund Goulding. Darkness lurks behind the bright lights of a traveling carnival in one of the most haunting and perverse film noirs of the 1940s. Adapted from the scandalous bestseller by William Lindsay Gresham, Nightmare Alley gives Tyrone Power a chance to subvert his matinee idol image with a ruthless performance as Stanton Carlyle, a small-time carny whose unctuous charm propels him to fame as a Charlton spiritualist, but whose unchecked ambition leads him down a path of moral degradation and self-destruction. Now, I've been meaning to watch the new Guillermo del Toro version. In fact, they were playing it at Alamo right now in a black and white version, I think called Nightmare Alley, Darkness and Light. It's 2.5 hours, so I haven't had time to submit myself to it. But this Criterion DVD and Blu-ray is so worth picking up if you love the new movie. This Criterion is it's a new 4K digital restoration. Features audio commentary from 2005 with 2 film historians, new interviews, a booklet, everything that Criterion has given us over the years. Nightmare Alley is packed to the brim with extras, and I highly recommend that. Next is the most obscure one, and this is from Kino Lorber, of all places. Now, in 1971, at the height of the Vietnam War, Jane Fonda and Donald Sutherland toured an anti-war comedy show across Southeast Asia. Despite being highly controversial, it was a huge success among station soldiers. Out of circulation and difficult to see for decades, FTA has now been fully restored by Indie Collect in 4K. And it's true that this is basically a musical documentary show where you see Donald Sutherland and Jane Fonda travel with this comedy troupe doing musical acts for the soldiers during Vietnam. And this was basically a response to the Bob Hope traveling tours at that time. Now, what happened was this was released in 1972 and was shut, and it basically disappeared after a week, largely because of the controversial Jane Fonda Hanoi Hilton incident. But at the same time, basically, the studio, the head of the distribution company for this movie, he got a call from the White House. And so we haven't seen this movie in 50 years, but Kino Lorber has brought it back with a new introduction by Jane Fonda, interview with Jane Fonda, and a 2005 documentary called Sir, No Sir by David Ziegler, who helped with the restoration of this movie. Next, from Warner Archive, we have one of my favorite comedies of all time, Night Shift.
That is a fun.
From Happy Days plays a debbish who used to work on Wall Street, and now he works at the New York City morgue. And his new partner is played by Michael Keaton in his very first movie. And Michael Keaton has the idea of starting a prostitution business out of the city morgue, and they get so popular they give health and dental benefits to all the prostitutes, and the pimps get so pissed off because they have no more business left on the New York streets. This is, without doubt, a hilarious comedy directed by Ron Howard, written by Lowell Gantz and Babalu Mandel, who later wrote movies like City Slickers and Parenthood and everything. And what's particularly good about this movie is that it features not only Michael Keaton's film debut, but also the film debuts of Shannon Doherty as a Bluebird Girl Scout, as well as Kevin Costner as a frat boy. There's this great sequence where the frat from Animal House comes to party in the morgue with all the hookers, and Henry Winkler actually opens one of the morgue drawers, and in there is Ron Howard's brother with a naked prostitute. So trust me when I say that this is a hilarious movie from the 80s that did not get its just due on Blu-ray, and Warner Archive has finally put it out. From Scream Factory. This was one I wanted to get ever since it was first announced. The bonus features on this are so incredible. But what was amazing is that I hadn't seen this movie for 25 years. David Cronenberg's The Dead Zone, based on the Stephen King novel. School teacher Johnny Smith, played by Christopher Walken, had a beautiful fiance, a rewarding career, and a fortunate life until one tragic accident changed everything. After slamming into an 18-wheeler, Johnny is plunged into a 5-year coma, and when he awakes, he finds his true collision was with destiny. He now has the remarkable gift or curse of seeing into the future. I think this is one of David Cronenberg's best films, one of Christopher Walken's best performances, and the special features, I mean, there's like 3 audio commentaries. I mean, all the other extras from the previous releases are here, plus a new 2020 scan from the original negative. This is my Scream Factory pick from last year. Anybody who is a John Ritter fan, this is an absolute must-buy. And look, I know that Mill Creek Entertainment is not everybody's favorite distribution company, but look, I had to pick this up. This is a comedy from 1989, written and directed by Blake Edwards, where John Ritter plays a womanizer and an alcoholic, and he's going through a midlife crisis of some kind. He sleeps with a lot of women in this movie, and the most famous sequence from this movie, called Skin Deep, is where he's about to have sex with a woman, but he ends up borrowing her boyfriend's condoms, which happen to glow in the dark. So we have this entire glow in the dark condom sequence where her boyfriend is trying to kick John Ritter's ass. So this is one of my favorite Blake Edwards comedies, and Morgan Creek has finally given it a Blu-ray release. And best of all, the video and audio quality on this release are excellent. Considering the distribution company, it's above average, even though there's no extras. Paramount presents, my nomination is for Breakdown, the Jonathan Mostel thriller starring Kurt Russell. Now, I also got the Via Vision Entertainment Blu-ray, which has its own amount of awesome bonus features. But I do prefer the Paramount Presents Blu-ray simply because of the commentary with Kurt Russell and writer-director Jonathan Mostel. But this one has a lot of interviews on it as well. This is a great release, very much packed. I'm almost done here. One that my favorite movie of last year was Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho. Well, another movie he did, which is actually a documentary about a band that's been together for 50 years. This is the Sparks Brothers. This is a Universal release, a 2-disc special edition. This is a band, an electro pop band from the early 70s. They are brothers, Ron and Russell Mal, and they've been together for 50 years. They put out 25 albums and over 500 songs. And this documentary, which is 2.5 hours, but I think it's a joy to watch every minute of the way. It features interviews with people like Beck, Weird Al Yankovic, Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. He wears this awesome sweater. It's got great animation. Like I said, if you're an Edgar Wright fan, this is an absolute must-see. And like I said, I'm glad that Sparks, this band with Ron and Russell Mal, that they're finally getting their due after 50 years. Yeah, this is just amazing. It is on Netflix, so I would encourage you to check it out there first, and then if you like it, pick up this Blu-ray. Now, okay, Piz kind of already spoiled this earlier, but look, I must admit that all of you were right, and I was wrong. Saint Maud is one of the best horror films of the past 5 years. This Blu-ray just came out about 2 months ago, courtesy of Lionsgate. And it does feature an audio commentary with writer-director Rose Glass that I very much liked, along with a featurette called A Higher Calling, The Rapture of St. Maud. Look, I remember when I saw the St. Maud trailer when I went to see The Lodge at Alamo Draft House. And I said to myself, okay, as well done as this looks, it was going to be a tough sell from the very, very beginning, just based on what I saw in the trailer. So I never saw it. Pretty much everybody at Region Free convinced me that what you think of it is not what you think of it. So I am a proud owner of this St. Maud Blu-ray now, just to let everybody know. And finally, we got 2 left. These are both Blu-ray sets. I always try to get something from Vinegar Syndrome. Always. Every year I try to get at least one thing from Vinegar Syndrome because I think they're king right now in terms of distribution for physical media. And this year I decided to put in give them a little bit more money than usual. And I picked up this 3 Blu-ray set called Camille Keaton in Italy. Yes, the star of Day of the Woman, a.k.a. I Spit on Your Grave. appears in these 3 films from Italy in the early 1970s. I love the artwork on this. Really do love the artwork. I think the artwork alone, I think it deserved a notice here. But the 3 films are Tragic Ceremony, Sex of the Witch, and Madeline. And all 3 of these Blu-rays do have bonus material in the form of audio commentaries and interviews. It was another thing that drew me to this and decided to pick it up. I've only watched one of the movies so far. I will watch the others and all the extras eventually. But here again, in terms of packaging alone, I think Vinegar Syndrome just wins. I think they totally win on this one. This is just some gorgeous, gorgeous artwork right there. And last but not least, the very last thing, which is a unique thing in that it's actually a 4K Ultra HD collection, but the Columbia Classics 4K Ultra collection Volume 2. And just like last year, what I did was I sent all the 4Ks out as Christmas gifts and kept the Blu-rays. And movies in this collection are Anatomy of a Murder, Oliver, Taxi Driver, Stripes, Sense and Sensibility, and The Social Network. And all of them have new bonus material attached to them. And the Blu-rays are not old Blu-rays from warehouses. They're actually brand new with most of those new extras intact. And on top of all that, you get this a bonus disc as well as like a gorgeous book that came with that showcases all the movies in this collection. And I'm really looking to see forward to see what more they do with these collections and what they're going to put out for Volume 3, because I intend to keep getting these. I mean, the last note I will say about this set is that, like the last set, 5 out of 6 films I think are brilliant, and there's just one that I think is meh. And the one meh one that I thought was on the last one was Jerry Maguire. I'm just not a huge fan of that movie. For this set, I recently rewatched The Social Network. As brilliantly written as it is, I don't need to see it again. I honestly don't need to see the rise and fall of the founder of Facebook again, as well acted and well written as that movie is. But the other 5 movies in this set, I will see those movies again multiple times. So those are my picks of the Blu-rays for 2021. If any of you gentlemen have any addendums to any of them, please let me know. I'd love to hear from them.
I'm taken aback by your opinion of Al Pacino.
Yeah.
And I got one thing to say, and that's fuss you, man.
Yes.
Fuss you.
You're very welcome.
I think Jonathan of Mr. Bombastic is the better Pacino. Better than Pacino, personally.
How'd you get those scars? Eating pineapple? TV cut. I had to throw the TV cut. Sometimes the TV cut is even better than the original for that reason.
I will also second Night Shift is freaking hilarious if you haven't seen that. And it's actually on sale on Amazon right now for $15.
Oh, cool.
Pretty good.
St. Maud is on sale right now for $10, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, grab St. Maud if you haven't. Absolutely.
Yeah, Night Shift is one of those movies where you sit back and go, how'd that get greenlit? But I'm glad it did, because it's a good flick. And Stripes is one of my favorite comedies from the 80s. I love Stripes. It's a classic.
Yeah, I'd always double up Night Shift with a Dan Aykroyd movie called Dr. Detroit.
Dr. Detroit. Another forgotten gem.
Yes.
That's on Blu-ray as of about a year or so ago as well from Shout Factory. So
that was the movie that Dan Aykroyd stole Paul Stanley's girlfriend and married her. Paul's still pissed about that, of course, He tends to hold grudges for a while.
But very nicely done, Stone. Very nicely done. And let's segue from talking about physical media to talking about more physical media with this week's Rad Report.
Rad Report. Rad Report. Rad What's up, everybody? Garrett back here, and interrupting your regularly scheduled program to bring you the new edition of the Rad Report, where I go through all the physical media new releases and news for the next coming weeks. All right, so let's start out hot talking about the big one that came out this week, and that is Ghostbusters Afterlife on 4K and Blu-ray. The big one was this big Ultimate Edition where you get Ghostbusters 1, 2, and Afterlife on 4K, along with a bonus disc with some exclusive special features and a thick book that talks a lot about the movie. Now, with that being said, there's already been a lot of problems with this set. If you haven't been following, I guess a lot of people are coming across that some of the discs are mixed up. So, for instance, instead of getting Ghostbusters 4K, they're getting a Ghostbusters 2 4K in the Ghostbusters disc. And the same thing for Ghostbusters 2. They might not get Ghostbusters 2, but get Ghostbusters in the Ghostbusters 2 case. So it's been a real mix match. A lot of people are having a lot of problems with this. If you didn't check it out, I did a live unboxing because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And luckily, mine is all set. But yeah, big problems with this Ghostbuster release so far, which stinks because it was pretty expensive. So I want to skim through this really quick. I just grabbed some titles that I thought would be something we guys could talk about that came out these next couple weeks, but there's a lot of stuff here. So we've got Almost Famous coming out in 4K. Wayne's World hit Blu-ray Steelbook. Man, I love Wayne's World, but I do already have that on Blu-ray. If it was a double pack of 1 and 2, I'd probably bite, but I'm not sure I'm going to double dip on that one as much as I do think the Steelbook's great. Slumber Party Massacre Remake comes out this week. I still haven't seen it, but I've heard great things. Mad Max Anthology hits 4K this week. A great movie, FX and FX2, actually hits Kino in more of a double pack. They already released these as single editions, and now you're just getting a double pack of 1 and 2. If you have not got these yet, I think this is the way to go. So next week, the big one is Spider-Man Anthology in 4K. That's the one with Tobey Maguire. Summer School on Blu-ray finally from Shout Factory. And the last one, Surf Nazis Must Die, hitting Blu-ray from Trauma. So we have a lot of news, a lot of things have been announced upcoming on 4K and Blu-ray, such as Nightmare Alley is coming to 4K Best Buy exclusive Steelbook. If you like that movie, I recommend snagging that Steelbook early because we know those things are selling out. So if you're a big fan, go pre-order that now. Uncle Sam is getting a 4K treatment from Blue Underground. Top Secret is coming out finally on Blu-ray. Imprint just announced a 4-disc Wicker Man set, which I'm really excited about. I just kind of wish it was a 4K set, but I'll definitely look into that one a little more before I buy. Arrow announced Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer is getting a 4K release. And Scream Factory announced they're doing a 4K of Sword and the Sorcerer, a Blu-ray of Cursed from Wes Craven. I'm actually really intrigued by that. I know there was a lot of cuts of this movie, but sadly, I do not think What We Want is going to be in this set. They made a little announcement saying, sorry for the confusion, it's the unrated version and the rated version. We tried to do the other ones, but we couldn't. I mean, again, it's one of those things we tried. I don't know. I have a feeling that someone could have got these cuts. I don't know. This is a tough buy for me now. They also announced Blu-ray for Night Creatures, which I've never seen. If you guys know anything about that, let me know. And they also announced a 4K treatment for Happy Death Day 1, Happy Death Day 2, and also I think if you buy in a bundle, you get like these exclusive pins. Sadly, I'm going to pass on this. I own them on Blu-ray. They're nothing I need to upgrade to 4K. And me being the collector that I am, if they're doing a third one, which I hear they are, to get that from another company and not Scream Factory, I don't know. I'm just not going to bite on this set because I'm just happy with what I got. Dream a Little Dream is getting a Vestron release, which I'm super excited about that. Big fan of that movie. Vinegar Syndrome made a lot of announcements from their partner labels and themselves for their newest pre-orders. Movies like American Screen and Cain and Abel. I have never seen those. Let me know what you guys think. And also Tragedy Girls is getting another release as well. The big one for me, Vinegar Syndrome announced, is Drop Dead Fred is finally coming out on Blu-ray. We know the debacle with Severin. I would love to know the story behind that. There's got to be more than meets the eye, but it's finally coming out, and that's the Blu-ray of Drop Dead Fred from Vinegar Syndrome. Wolfpack Sister Sister and Beware Children at Play are also announced from Vinegar Syndrome. And it seems like Kino is taking a lot of old Scream Factory titles and re-releasing them. You've got the Dr. 5 set coming out on Blu-ray. You have Tentacles making another appearance on Blu-ray. And you also have New Year's Evil getting another edition on Blu-ray. So I guess if you don't have those from Scream Factory, you may want to pick them up now. Now, this is Garrett at Born to Be Rad, and I'll get back to the rest of Region Free.
Thank you, Garrett, as always. And be sure to go check out Garrett's channel, Born to Be Rad. But yeah, thanks a lot, Garrett. Appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of new physical media releases coming up. I'm definitely interested in getting the new Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer 4K from Arrow whenever that drops. And the thing about the cursed alternate cuts, which if you saw my Bloodstream with Patrick Lussier from last year, you know they exist. They're out there. The problem with getting those cuts on the new Scream Factory release is that every actor who's in that footage would have to sign off on it. And Cursed famously started out with one cast of people, and then like Skeet Ulrich was in the first cut of the first cut of Cursed. I think Mandy Moore, at least there's others as well, but for them to be able to release that cut, they'd have to have Skeet Ulrich sign off on it, have Mandy Moore sign off on it, and hope that they don't want money out of it, which is probably not going to happen. And yeah, so that's I think that's a big part of why those cuts are unfortunately not going to be on that new Cursed release. But and I know that's going to be I know that would have been a big selling point for that release for a lot of people. So it's unfortunate.
It'll make a great counter bookend for your Candyman Day of the Dead disc.
How dare you speak ill of Christina Ricci?
I did not speak.
How?
Yeah, Christina Ricci at the heights of her power, trying to hold something together, but that film is a miserable experience.
Oh, man, I thought you loved Christina, but I guess not. What about Jesse? I thought you were a big Jesse Eisenberg guy too.
Yeah, I don't know how you got that thought.
You're a Josh Jackson guy.
Yeah. You know, the thing about fishing is you eventually have to catch a fish, or you go home having wasted your day with wet shoes.
I mean, whatever's on your Plenty of Fish profile, that's between you and Plenty of Fish. I don't get it. But anywho, any of those physical media releases on your lists? Anybody?
I think the only like two Corey's Blu-ray that I'd want at this point is Busted with Julie Strain. But I don't know. I don't remember Dream a Little Dream too well. I saw that, I think, when I was just a little kid, so I might check it out with fresh eyes. I don't know. Are you a fan of that one, Piz?
I don't. Of all the two Corey's movies, and I love them all. They're all masterpieces. The one I have the least memories of is Dream a Little Dream. Honestly, and I think that might be also because I was more of a Corey Haim guy than a Corey Feldman guy, and Corey Feldman is the star of Dream a Little Dream, so that might have played into that. But
yeah, grown Corey Feldman didn't have what young Corey Feldman had. I don't know at that point how old he was.
I also seem to remember that this was right around that time where he desperately wanted to be Michael Jackson, so he was in that Michael Jackson phase.
Yeah, I remember, I think Monster Mania, I don't remember which convention it was. I believe it was Monster Mania, where he had like a 4-hour line and he stopped the line to count his money, which he did right there too. So I've never thought very high of Corey Feldman, but I will check that out. I'll probably pick it up. Like I said, I vaguely remember renting that when I was a kid. So
I'm sure it'll probably be like, a lot of the Vestron releases lately have been like $14, $14. So you're not going to be out a lot.
Yeah.
And of course it's, the magic of the two Coreys. So
cost yourself respect and $14.
Yeah. Any other releases you guys are going to pick up?
I am excited for. It's actually weird lately. Some of Vinegar Syndrome's partner labels have even eclipsed Vinegar Syndrome for me. So I'm gonna probably pick up most of that. Just because I'm a glutton for punishment. They're putting out a lot of SOV horror titles. Savage Harvest, which is actually one of the better ones if you're forgiving and into shot on video horror. They've announced some interesting things that I'm going to check out. There's a double feature that's escaping me at the moment that I don't think I ever actually saw. So I'll probably grab that as well. I do know that I think everybody here is a fan of it. Girlfriend from Hell. I ordered mine a little late, but it is on the way to me. And yeah, that is like one of the ultimate cult movies. One of the ultimate. I don't know why it's not better known, to be honest.
It is one of my favorite films, period.
Yeah. I've got mine ready to watch. But yeah, Vinegar Syndrome's like how many partner labels have they got now? Like at least 3 or 4 at this point, right?
Oh, I think like 7 or 8.
Oh, really? Jeez, they've expanded even more than I know. But yeah, they Beware Children at Play, classic trauma film, and yeah, Drop Dead Fred. So, what's the story behind Drop Dead Fred? And Severin was going to release it, and then they had to pull it at the last minute, and there's something weird going on there. And then I know Imprint from Australia, they're going to do their own Drop Dead Fred release. So a lot of Drop Dead Fred love.
Where the hell's young Einstein?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. And chairman of the board, where's the special edition of that?
Listen, we need a new Yahoo Serious commentary on, you know what I mean? We need that.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Yes, we do indeed.
Carrot Top made the perfect film, so he just never did anything else. That's why never knew he could never top it.
Smart man. Yeah. Anybody else got anything they want to discuss tonight? Any topics or any just anything you want to get off your chest?
Well, it might be kind of counterintuitive to what we just went through for the last, I don't know, hour or so, but I finally got around to watching Titane.
Oh, yes.
And of course, the thing is, like, this is going to be the least surprising mini review you've ever heard in your life, because it's exactly the sort of film that would appeal to me. So, yeah, I loved it. But it got me thinking about something that is probably really an uncomfortable thought for all of us who do love film. And that's that it's the sort of film that, because of its abrasive nature, is not one I'm going to revisit often. It's a lot of film to take in, right? There's a lot of there, and it's not the kind of thing that you're going to put on as comfort food. By the same rate, the movie has more bold choices per square inch than anything you're going to see in the last 10 years of filmmaking, right? So what it occurred to me is that it started me thinking about kind of those films that we all got stuck on a loop watching. You know, when I talk to genre fans, they all have that film. They'll be like, oh, I used to come home from school and watch Nightmare on Elm Street 4 every day for 3 years, or whatever it was. And it got me thinking, especially in the genre, about the fact that, as I made reference to the last episode, these films weren't really made to be watched that often, or to have that much familiarity. Whether it's effects that are not 100% convincing, but it didn't matter because they were going to be fleeting, and you probably would only ever see the film once, which is not true for someone who watches it like every day after school. Or simply, you know, the logic of a screenplay gets diluted as the film is made and then cut into a whole. So that something like Slugs doesn't make complete sense, but it probably was not intended to undergo any kind of real scrutiny. And it really made me wonder if perhaps we're getting a very skewed version of what film is as entertainment. Titane should probably be a film that people see no more than once every 5 years. That's what I'm thinking. If they want to retain any of the shock value of the film, and by the way, when I say shock value, it's not the big scenes, it's not the violent stuff that is shocking. It's the small moments of a father who's lost his child dancing with another character who he's very aware he's making into a substitute. And it's an awkward, strange moment, and you're questioning like what characters are feeling because it's such a weird situation. My favorite moment in the entire film is a conversation between a woman and not her son.
Oh yeah.
It's a quiet, weird moment where the more you look at it, the weirder it gets. The body horror stuff is great, but it almost doesn't need to be there for the film to be as powerful as it is. My worry is that that's the stuff that's going to be elevated by endless rewatches if we just go with our worst impulses, which is to binge watch things that we enjoyed as much as we could. And I wonder, like, is that why we tend to have fetishized certain titles, perhaps that we became really comfortable with? And is that a good place for cinema? Because I wonder if this is what has led to the Marvel thing. The Marvel films are made so that there can be, 300 reaction videos on YouTube the weekend after it's released. They're aware of what they're making, and they make films that will have those effects because they understand what they're building in a clientele. And I think that although, I don't think A24 or something like Titan would ever fall prey to that, the fact that the mainstream has moved so much into that endless watchable value, these are comfortable movies, maybe we all should give some room to all of our favorites and space them out a little bit so they retain all of their impact and all of their fury. Having said that, I still want everyone to buy every piece of physical media they can of things they love so they have these films available to them. I'm just cautioning that I never want to watch Titan and have seen it so many times that I don't feel those feelings that I felt, because it's a film that made me feel things that I haven't felt in my life. Saint Maud is another one. Saint Maud makes you feel things that you hopefully will never experience in your life. But I'd hate to get so familiar with it that I lose that. So just wanted to spin that out. I guess the easy question for the panel is, so what was the movie that you got too close to from rewatch?
Wow.
Probably The Greasy Strangler. I love. No, I'm joking. That's what I've vowed to never watch again. I don't know if I can say that I've gotten too close. I mean, I have comfort
tell
movies.
the truth, is how many times you watched House Shark?
Oh, Jesus. Just finished watching it right before we went live.
Too close, huh?
Yeah, God, it's too close. Oh, man. Oh. But I don't know if I've too close, getting too close to a movie. But I mean, definitely there were the comfort movies, like, I can pop this in and watch it anytime, or something like that. Which I guess one would be Jaws, and this would be more from like childhood up through teen years. Would be Jaws, and of course The Lost Boys. Those are the two I've watched the most.
So is there a part of you that's sad that you know exactly when the jump scare under the boat is coming every time now in Jaws? I mean, because that's what I'm talking about. Like, wouldn't you pay almost anything to have that first experience back, or at least have a fuzzy enough memory that stuff still hits just as hard?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I tell people, if they're going to watch certain movies for the first time that I've turned them on to, like, oh, I envy you, because you're going to see whatever the movie is for the first time with fresh virgin eyes. You're going to see all the all the good stuff for the first time. And yeah,
unfortunately, the hymen doesn't grow back.
Yeah.
You know, once it's popped, and that's it. I have movies that I love that I don't need to see anymore because I've memorized them, and that does make me sad a little bit. But I kind of go into a film understanding that the first time is going to be the only first time. I get what you're saying, Lauren, and you know, there's definitely some merit to it. But you know, in a way, though, they do become like comfort food. And why would I want to take a chance on this movie that may or may not? Well, I already know I like this one. You know, especially with some modern films, it's hard to know what you're going to get until it's too late. And then, you know, you've popped that cherry, and and all the regrets that go with it are worse than watching something that you might want to get that same feeling from. I guess for me, I don't. I guess I just always figured that once you watch it, you've watched it the first time, and if you like it, go back for more. I definitely try to space out my viewings. I don't watch like Friday the 13th Part 2 once a week. Once a year is fine. Once every 2 years. The Halloween movies for me are Halloween only. I don't watch them throughout the years like I used to. It used to be I could throw in Halloween or Halloween 2 at any time and enjoy it, but now that's strictly Halloween season stuff for me. I like to leave it for that, so that feeling of Halloween, you know, it helps to ground the holiday that I'm actually trying to enjoy. I don't know, The Thing, that's a movie I could watch every winter. That's a winter movie for me. I think everybody thinks that January is Thing month. You know, we were having our little short 2-day winter spree. That's a perfect time to watch The Thing because it's one of the only times I can go outside and shiver. You know, so I don't know though. I mean, I don't think it's as big of a problem for me as it is for you, but that's fine. I understand exactly where you're coming from though.
I do think it matters what type of cinema we gravitate towards as well. I mean, the really transcendent stuff, the really hard hitting stuff, I definitely get more out of than the more mainstream stuff over time, right? So, I mean, I guess it does depend. I see a slide towards familiarity as the goal of film, and I decry that. That's I think the biggest problem we have going. That's how we end up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. 6 times a year now there's a film or something. It's ridiculous.
As much as I crap on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I was pleasantly surprised by the last Spider-Man film. I'm not going to go out of my way to heap praise upon it. I would just say that I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed it because I didn't really expect to, but hey, it had Tobey Maguire in it, right? There's some comfort food right there. Spider-Man 2 is great. So I thought that hopefully going forward, films that require, I don't know, some kind of callback or fan service kind of pays attention to how they did it in that film. Cause I kind of felt like all of the legacy characters from the previous series were given a moment. And it felt satisfying, unlike in Star Wars or Halloween. I felt like, you know, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire had a moment and their characters actually developed and it was something that went forward from there. And opening up the multiverse definitely makes it a little easier to swallow some of the left turns that they make when they're doing these flicks. But overall, yeah, I'm pretty much marbled out. I did enjoy Venom 2. Not great, but still entertaining. I enjoyed it. I got a chuckle out of it. I got to see double feature at the drive-in, Venom 2 with Spider-Man No Way Home, so that probably made it even better. And speaking of nostalgia, I'm going Monday. I'm going to go see Jackass Forever and Tommy Boy. Now, there's a double feature for you. Although I'm tempted. On the other screen is A Cabin in the Woods. The Cabin in the Woods, which I do like that film. And it's playing with the new Moonfall, which is a Roland Emmerich film.
Yeah.
And he's the king. He was like the disaster guy of the 90s. You know, he like took all the disaster films from the 70s and kind of remade them in his own image. So now that he's got a new film out, I know there's going to be some cheese there that's going to be tasty. So that double feature too, it's like, oh, it's almost like coin flip. Do I go for Jackass and Tommy Boy or the Cabin in the Woods and Moonfall? I'm gonna go with Jackass. You know, that's just it's you know, watching those idiots beat each other up is hilarious. I can't help myself. And Tommy Boy, probably Chris Farley's most well known and maybe his best film. And it's arguable,
easily.
But yeah, it's going to be a good fun time at the flicks. I like how the drive-ins like pairing them up with something old, something new. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Giving some of these films an audience that you maybe never seen them before. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I have to defend Spider-Man, at least the last one. I can't guarantee the next ones are going to be good or if there'll be any more, and I don't really care. But I was pleasantly surprised enough by that you know that made my list of you know, one of my favorite movies of last year, just because I was so pleasantly surprised by how much I liked it. Although it'll never be zombie ready, but what is, right?
It's funny your question, Lauren. It made me think of for me as a kid. There's films that I love to this day, but you can never get beyond that first viewing as a kid. I mean, Hellraiser for me was huge. There's no way, even the second time, that it would hit me in such a way. Cronenberg in general, maybe specifically Videodrome, which I think was maybe my first Cronenberg movie. I was a little kid. I didn't understand anything about that movie. But you can never have that first powerful experience over again. So in a way, sometimes I say, like, I almost wish I never watched Hellraiser again, because that magic is never going to be the same. I still think it's a fantastic horror film. You know, as a critic, I mean, you can pick at certain things, but it's still perfect to me. And there's a lot of movies like that. I saw a lot of stuff way too young. And, you know, having gone to like Catholic school, you can imagine like Hellraiser at a very, very young age. You know, that was like, holy shit. Because, you know, it was all real back then. So, you know, it was just like, my God. So those in particular, I really, I still remember sitting down and experiencing that movie and just being freaked out, but also just fascinated, and you know, really contributed to my lifelong love of the horror genre.
And I when you said maybe you watched some you watched some of these big impact movies maybe too young, there's some I feel the same way too, because I feel like I didn't quite appreciate them the first time around because I watched them too young. Whereas, you know, if I was a little bit older, I might have been watching a little more intently, and I might have understood it on a deeper level, and therefore had a you know, a stronger reaction to it. So yeah, I mean that, yeah.
I think the unknown, though, just youth and the unknown. Yeah, there's just something special about those first viewing. I mean, I've seen Hellraiser a bunch of times over the years, but I can vividly remember that first time because it impacted me greatly.
I had the same experience with The Exorcist, actually, the first one. It was one of those movies that no matter how many times I watch it, it'll never be the same because I was way too young when I saw it. So it was just, I was so freaked out when I was watching it when I was young. It's like when I watched it again later, it was almost like I was watching a different movie because, you know, when your young brain gets a hold of that material, it turns it into something that you didn't actually see, but you thought you saw, you know, type of thing. And that's a pretty wild movie anyway, especially for the 70s. Jaws, that's a classic. I watch it every year around the 4th of July. That's just, I've seen it, you know, on every home media except for Laserdisc. You know, Christian's got that sweet Laserdisc, but I never will, and I'm okay with that. I've made peace with it. But that's like the only way I haven't seen it. I've seen it at the drive-in. I've seen it at the theater. I've seen it on, you know, DVD and VHS, the whole nine, the TV, whatever. That's just one of those movies that never gets old for me. Watch it every year. And it's as good every year too. It's one of those movies that it feels like it flies by, even though I've seen it, you know, literally hundreds of times. It's like, wow, we're already to that part. That was quick.
Mhm.
It's just one of those perfect movies for me. And so some maybe, but not that one. There's certain ones that are so good that no matter how many times I rewatch them, I never get tired of them. Alien, Jaws. There's just so many that I don't regret watching over and over again. They'll never get old. But some they're probably I have taken breaks. It's like, okay, I need to give that one some air. I've
Yeah.
seen it one too many times. I don't appreciate it as much as I should anymore. So I'm just gonna let that one rest for a while, and I'll go back to it later, which is not a bad idea.
Joe Reese in the chat wants to know if any of us watched the 1987 Werewolf TV series that Rick Baker made the werewolf suits for. I have a vague memory of it, but I don't remember. I remember it, but I don't remember like anything too specific about it.
It was the Incredible Hulk with werewolf.
Oh, okay.
Those are my lost years, so I don't remember.
He would show up in a town. There'd be a problem that needed to be solved. He'd try and avoid solving the problem. He'd turn into a werewolf. He'd kill the bad guys, and he'd go on to the next town.
Okay.
It was very formula. It was very much of its time. But yeah, I mean, the werewolf effects are the suit anyway was pretty cool.
Weren't they going to put that out on DVD or something recently, and then it just didn't happen?
Something happened with that. I think it was even like it's scheduled to be a budget release for the series, so it was going to be like a Walmart rack job type thing. But something happened.
No.
I can live without really revisiting it. I think it's all available on YouTube.
Anybody remember the syndicated show? I think it was The Hitchhiker.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I loved that opening with the opening music and him walking through the desert. So creepy. I used to creep the crap out of me as a kid. I don't remember any of the episodes. I just remember that opening and him walking through the desert and just thinking like, gosh, how's he gonna? He's in the middle of the desert just walking around. He's gonna die. Like how awful that would be to just be alone in the middle of the desert walking by yourself. You're screwed.
I still want my release of Darkroom on some kind of physical media.
That'd be nice. I kept thinking that would come out like, I don't know, Mill Creek or something. Somebody would get a hold of it and Echo Bridge.
It's an awareness issue. People don't remember it. But there's very few shows from that time period where as a kid I would make sure I was inside and ready to watch. And that was one of them. I mean, I was always more of a movie guy, right? I looked for the movies in the TV guide. I didn't care about television series shows. Whatever was on. That was a thing I had to say. And I do own it, kind of, now. But, it's recorded off of the Canadian Scream Network was the last people that aired it. But they're great. Like, it is seriously way better than Tales from the Dark Side. It's way better than the new Twilight Zone. Way better than Monsters. That's not even close. It is the 80s best anthology TV show. And it needs release.
Is TV Guide still a thing?
It is.
So I don't remember even seeing it.
No, it's full size.
I loved TV Guide back in the day, man. I'd go through there and circle all the good stuff. Oh,
we had
man,
free version that came in the newspaper on Sunday.
No, I had to get the one that was like the Reader's Digest size.
Yeah.
TV Guide. And my friends would make fun of me because I'd memorize the damn thing, and all they'd have to do is ask me, "Hey, Mike, what's on?" And I'd tell them, "Hey, what time?" Because anything that said like thriller or horror or whatever, I mean, that suspense, that was circled. Like you, it was just like I'm watching that.
Oh yeah, I'd get it on Sunday out of it came in the Courier News. I'd pull it out. I would go through it page by page, scour, circle. This was before we had a VCR. So I couldn't even record something in the early days. It was like try and plot out like, okay, there's that I'm never going to be allowed to stay up for, but that might happen. So, and remember, 2 televisions in the house, didn't have any control of the one downstairs, the color set, the black and white set upstairs. I might be able to finagle, but I had to work that. So it was a process to learn to see this stuff for the first time.
And we had the added bonus of, not knowing that physical media was even going to be a thing. So it was like, if you don't watch it, you
Gone.
don't watch it. It's gone.
Oh,
Maybe they'll show it again 3-4 years from now. Maybe.
I recorded tons of stuff off television. I mean, I think I had Jaws on like 6 or 7 different VHS tapes recorded in, that super slow mode, so it looked like crap, but I could get like 8 hours worth of stuff on that VHS. So
Mike, you and I are the only ones that remember a time before VCRs.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
I remember a time before we had one in the house, but when we got that VCR, it opened up a whole new world.
I might be one of the only ones that remembers a world before VCRs, microwave ovens, or air conditioning in every house.
We
didn't have any of that stuff till I was almost a teenager.
The TV Guide may actually be the first thing that I inadvertently collected, because I remember that I like refused to throw them away, and I had like this huge stack of them in the closet. Like I didn't want to throw them away for some reason. I don't know, but eventually they all went away. So let's see. We've been going for almost 2 hours. Anybody have anything they want to say in closing before we call it a night?
Everybody do breakdown videos of Titane, because I'll watch them all.
Go ahead, Seth.
I just wanted to announce real quick my next 3 audio commentaries are all going to be 50th anniversary audio commentaries on my channel. This Saturday night, I will be doing a movie called Cisco Pike, starring Chris Christopherson and Gene Hackman and Karen Black. And I will also be doing The Godfather and Cabaret, which were both the biggest films of 1972. And I'll be doing 50th anniversary commentaries on both of those. And of course, you gentlemen are all welcome to join me for either Cabaret or The Godfather, because those are going to be interesting.
Cool. I am I'm about to announce the first couple of Bloodstreams of 2022 here soon, and I've got a third one that I'm hoping to line up with a really big guest. So the first Bloodstream of 2022 later this month is going to be with Dave Parker, and we're just going to talk about Uwe Boll the whole time. That's going to be the whole thing. It's just all Uwe Boll all the time. So Dave Parker, if you guys aren't familiar with Dave Parker, The Hills Run Red, Tales from Halloween. He did an episode of Masters of Horror. He's done a lot of stuff, and not just as a director, but writer, editor. He's all over the place.
Nicest guy you'll ever meet. That is going to be a good interview. I randomly on Facebook talked to him for like 2 hours, like a few years ago. He's a cool dude.
Super nice guy. Just, a horror guy, just a horror guy like the rest of us. So, but yeah, that'll be a lot of fun, and I'll announce the others soon. So, but let's see, Stone, where can we find you on social media?
Yes, I'm of course Stone Gasman on Twitter, and my YouTube channel is also called Stone Gasman. And like I said, if you go there, you'll see where Cisco Pike has been added and scheduled for 10 p.m. this Saturday night.
Cool. Lauren, where can we find you on social media?
At Lauren Dixon on the Twitter. The YouTube channel is Visited by Voices 1, and during the show, I drew a cat.
Nice.
Awesome.
I like that. That's an angry cat.
It's a dry erase board, so it's probably not going to ship well.
Lauren's an angry man, so you can expect an angry cat.
A lot of cats are just angry by nature. You pet them too much, they turn around and bite you. You don't pet them enough, they turn around and bite you.
They're awesome, but they are kind of shifty.
A little bit.
But you usually survive a cat bite. So
usually, yeah.
Unless it's a feral cat.
Other pets, that's not always the case.
Yeah. Especially if hey, I was born a snake handler, I'll die a snake handler. So Let's see, Dan, where can we find you on social media?
We are Flesh Wound Features here on YouTube, Flesh Wound Radio on Twitter, and we've got our last night show, which was a lot of fun, some reviews, some random BSing, and we will be working on a Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise show going into the new movie. So that and a lot of other stuff on the way for you guys.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. And Mike is too cool to be on social media. He lives in Florida. You know, it's always sunny. There's beach babes. So, but now tell us where we can find you on social media, Mike.
Oh, I have the tweeter. I got the @BMovieMike on the tweeter. That's about it, really. Social media is not really my thing, but I like hanging out for the most part in the movie community. Twitter sometimes gets a little much, but I'm always watching stuff on YouTube, and right now I don't have a whole lot going on. I have a lot of things going on behind the scenes, but nothing I can really announce right now.
Cool. All right, let me do some shout outs here before we call tonight. We've got Entertainment Wizard in the chat, Keith, Captain Halloween, Roland 666, Briley Van Dyke, Punisher Batman Fan, Brian Trash, Ben Grimm. There's Garrett, Born to be Rad, Bob Gray, Hank. Madman or Media Dude 95, Cliff Booth, Cable Channel 11, which is our buddy Jess, Simon Morris, Dying Breed, Joe Reese, the Lost River Drive-In. Nick was here earlier hanging out. Let's see who else was with us tonight. Griffin was in the chat hanging out with us tonight also. Dr. CZ Death, our buddy Chris. Future Boy, Baby Herman, Joe Bob Tarheel. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you all for joining me tonight. As always, it's a pleasure, and we will see you again in the very near future. But until then, take care, be well, and peace.
Watch or be punished.
I was mild